Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Anthony Baxby. Nice to meet you,
Annette.
Annette Corrigan.
Corrigan.
Corrigan. Sorry.
Yes, that's okay.
Can you introduce yourself to the people at home for us?
Sure. My name's Annette Corrigan. I've been married for 29 years to my husband, Chip. We are 30-year residents of DuPage County. I first lived in Naperville, and then we moved to Wheaton. We raised all 4 of our children here in Wheaton. I'm actually a mother of a Wheaton Warrenville South tiger. I'm also an attorney. My career was spent mostly in the courtroom the first 10 years. I did take some time off to be with my children. And then about 5 or 6 years ago, I went back to practicing law. And the area that I practice in deals with families and children and all the issues that might relate to family and children. I'm a member, I'm a board member for the College of DuPage. I was elected in 2019 as a trustee to the College of DuPage Board of Trustees. Recently, I was appointed to the board of directors at NAMI. It's the National Alliance for Mental Illness. And just some personal things about me, I guess, to share is things I'm passionate about besides my family, of course, my children and my husband. Are things like I like to be outside. I love the outdoors. I love all the forest preserves and parks that we have here in DuPage County. One of my favorite things to do is to read for pleasure because I do a lot of reading for work. I like to garden. Again, I like being outside, and I love my dogs, Reese and Lulu, who are these little Morkie type dogs. They're kind of little dogs. So those are my passions. And I'm running for District 4 for a board position with the DuPage County Board.
Thank you. That was
You're
really
welcome.
good. So how have you been involved in the community so far? Because you did say you've been living here for over 30 years in the residence. So what's some of the things that you've already done for the community?
So I first got involved with my church. I'm a member of the St. Michael's Church in Wheaton, and I've served in many supporting roles there. I've been a lector there. I've been a Eucharistic minister. I've been a greeter at St. Michael's Church. And about 12 years ago, a couple friends of mine and I started the St. Michael's Fish Fry. We knew that there was a need for funding there's a school endowment, a way to help support the school. And our church didn't have a fish fry. So we started about 12 years ago a fish fry, and every year since then, except for 2020 during COVID, we've done the fish fry and raised money for the school. I've been active in Boy Scouts. I was Troop 34's committee chair for several years. I also was the Eagle Scout coordinator and helped to support Scouts that wanted to become Eagles. I have a couple children of my own that are Eagle Scouts. I coached at Wheaton College, their cheer team. I also volunteered at the Park District as a cheer coach for little girls. They were from 2nd grade to 5th grade in the cheer program at the Park District. And then I also served on several boards since I've been a community member here for 30 years. My first experience with the board was the Big Brother, Big Sister board for DuPage County. That was a fundraising board. I met a lot of great people on that board, and we helped to raise funds for that program. I was on St. Michael's Pastoral Council. It's a leadership council for our church. I was on the St. Michael's School Board. I was the secretary, then I was the vice president and became the president in my final year there. And as I mentioned earlier, I was elected to the College of DuPage Board of Trustees in 2019. It was my first experience in running for an office. And all of those things that when the second part of the question that asked about how did those experiences prepare me for becoming, for preparing for this run for county board is, I think what it taught me most was relationship building and how that no one person can do anything by themselves, and that you really need the skill sets and the really life experiences that everybody brings to the table when you're on a board to really acknowledge and address problems and find solutions to problems. And I think that really is what is going to help me, in addition to the legal experience and education and training I've had. I think those are the things that are going to help me be a really good board member when I'm elected in November, if I may say.
I like that when I'm elected.
Got to stay positive, right?
Exactly. So what is one of the challenges that you faced so far that you plan to address further on once you get elected?
So the obvious one, and you probably heard this from a lot of the candidates that you've already interviewed, I think I'm one of the last ones to be interviewed with your group. Probably the one that came up was the crime that's coming into DuPage County, the challenges we have with public safety right now. That's an obvious one. That is one that most of us, and I don't know how you could be running for elected office at this point in time, especially locally here, and not want to address the crime issue and making sure we're supporting our law enforcement. But that aside, because that's just an obvious one, I really think that given the current economic state of affairs in our country and what we're seeing and the fact that we're heading into a recession, I gotta tell you, the way our dollars are gonna be spent, the way we're gonna take resources and apply them most effectively, and try to really get the biggest bang for our buck out of our tax dollars for our taxpayers is really going to be a huge challenge going forward, at least in the immediate future. You know, I don't know that you're ever able to roll back taxes, but if we could just maintain where we are and even flatten where we are with the tax burden on our taxpayers, that is something that I really think as a county board we're going to have to look at, because we need to help our community, we need to help our residents, and it's certainly not going to take place at the higher levels of government. So I think we also have to be creative. I think we have to look at other ways for bringing in funds. Grant programs are a great example for bringing funds into a community. So that is something that I think as a board member I would want to look into, to take some burden off of our taxpayers, just like we did at St. Michael's with the fish fry. It sounds kind of silly, but you know, we were looking for innovative ways to help that small community. And that's what we did.
And
a small thing, but it's really been helpful, I think. So.
Exactly, and it's like, if you don't do it, who else is gonna do
it?
it?
Right, exactly.
What are some of your long-term goals that you plan on tackling?
So, I do want to be specific in one area, but generally, I don't know how anybody runs for an elected position without having that desire to want to do better than what people before them have done. And I would like to see, I think that this county, we have smart people, we have dedicated community people, you know, we are just citizens like anybody else running for these positions. I think we could be an example for how good government could be run. I would love to see that as a long-term goal, that making DuPage County as an example of good governance, right? Also, you know, again, that public safety piece, that is so important, that we keep this community safe. I grew up in Joliet, and not in a bad part of town at all, but our house was burglarized when I was growing up. We had bikes stolen out of our garage. I experienced what it was like to have some touch of crime in my life at a very young age. My children didn't experience that here. We were very lucky. My children always felt safe. I felt safe in DuPage County, and I'd like to maintain that. The other thing is, I want to make sure we can bring back, you know, and keep common sense in our decision making. You know, we get the source of revenue as our tax dollars, right? And then we have to find ways to apply those tax dollars in the best way to give back in services to our residents, to make sure that our residents have good roads, right? And transportation means, and public health, are supporting our law enforcement. So we have to use common sense. And when you look at the news and you see what's going on at other levels, higher levels of government, I feel like common sense has gone out the window, you know? So lastly, I'll just touch on this. I'm really concerned about how mental illness has really increased in every facet of our communities. And we, especially because of what has occurred with COVID, I'm very concerned for my own children. I'm concerned from the elderly who have been isolated. I think we have to do something. I don't have the answer sitting here today as to what that would look like. I would like to make that a focus, a project of my own, and with other people to spearhead something, to bring all the resources we have that address issues like mental illness. And I'd like to combine all those resources and efforts and see if we can really target that issue. It's not going to go away. So
I'm actually really glad that you talked about the public safety point of view, because I've actually experienced, like how you talked about home being burglarized before.
Yeah.
I've experienced that as a kid. So whenever you start talking about that, it really hit home to me, especially. And
You're
it
left
really,
with some uncertainty, aren't you? You
Yeah.
have fear, a sense of fear you wish you didn't have before.
hmm
And you want nothing more than to keep your family and your friends and those
Exactly.
people you care about the most safe.
Exactly. And I'm actually really glad that you brought that up, saying how you want to make it just safer for everyone, so they didn't have that fear.
Exactly.
Perfect. Perfect. That was, I didn't want to keep
Oh,
going.
we have one more question, I think.
Is there anything else that you would like to say?
I'll just end on this note. You know, I love this community. I've loved living in Wheaton and raising my children here. My family loves this community. My family never wants us to leave, and I can tell you, you can cut and run, or you can choose not to do anything, but I've decided that with the blessing of my family, because to run for any position, you need the support of your family, and I want to do what I can to keep this community going in the right direction. And like I said, I couldn't do that without the support of my family. I want to bring all those pieces, all those things, that the skill set that I've learned as a member of several different boards to the county board, and bring the relationship building that I learned and that teamwork together to really make us an effective county board. Get rid of the divisiveness and whatever the internal fighting has been, and make sure that we get to know one another so we learn how to work together. And just continue to help make DuPage County the great place that has been for me and my family, and keep going down that path.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
I really
so much
enjoyed talking with you too.
Thank you so much.